Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. The fellas heading to the Pac-12 as the Oregon Ducks go on the road to the in-state rivals and play the Oregon State Beavers. I think this is a very interesting game. I think Oregon State is one of the most underrated teams in the whole entire country. They're not sexy. They don't throw the ball all over the yard. They play very good defense. They run the football very well. And teams in national media, people aren't talking about how good this Oregon State Beavers team is because it's not like the shiny USC offense. This is going to be a really good game. I'm excited to get into it. Before we do, just want to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. We've talked a lot of Ducks football. They've been covering the spread for us very well. Oregon State, actually, too. We've two teams we've won a decent amount on. I like both teams a lot. This is going to be a very fun game. I think that's why you see the spread sitting at 3-point favorites for the Ducks. This Beavers team is no joke. So if you guys do like the content, though, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate y'all. Let's start talking about the matchup. The matchup that jumps out at me, and this is why Oregon got against Washington, is this Oregon secondary. Not very strong. If there's a problem with this Oregon defense, it is definitely the secondary. The problem with this matchup for Oregon State is they don't throw the ball around that much. You look at the quarterback play, they've dealt with injuries. They've had, 7 guys take different snaps at the quarterback position. They run the football a lot. Oregon is a little bit better defending the run. They did a very good job stopping a guy like Tavion Thomas last week against Utah, only averaging about 2.9 yards per carry in that game. That's what jumps out at me is I don't know if Oregon State will be able to take advantage of this Oregon defense like a team like Washington was able to do through the air. Because Oregon on the front seven, a lot better. I mean, the transfer from Casey Rogers, he played very well against Utah. Have guys like DJ Johnson, obviously Noah Sewell, Justin Flo. You have guys who are very good in that front seven. You're a little younger. You're a little bit less proven in the secondary. And that's where I think Oregon could get maybe exposed. But I just don't know if Oregon State has the firepower, the personnel, the offensive scheme to really do that. Now, on the flip side, the biggest question mark has to be Bo Nix and his health. This was the first game really all season since Georgia where you saw that Oregon offense not really be able to run the football against Utah. And yes, Utah has a good front seven. They play very good defense. They're a physical team up front. I think Bo Nix not being able to run, I mean, he's a guy that averages over 6 yards per carry, only had 2 carries for, I think, 3 yards. He obviously was not a part of the run game, and Dillingham had to kind of scheme up ways that Oregon could move the football without using Bo Nix's legs. You're going to see the same thing, and another thing you worry about is Oregon's offense looked a little different. A lot more quick throws, a lot more screens. The tape's out on that. Oregon State is looking at what they did with Utah and Bo Nix being hampered, and they kind of know what's coming. Now, I do think that Oregon State, they have a very good defense, but if they're where they can get got is on the run game. They're allowing 4.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Oregon runs the ball extremely well. You take a look at some of the running backs, and I know you're concerned about can Oregon run the ball still without Bo Nix being a threat to run. I still think they can a little bit. I mean, Bucky Irving, Noah Whittingham, still guys who are averaging over 6 yards per carry. It's been one of the best running attacks in the whole entire country. It's behind a very experienced and very talented offensive line. And so from a straight matchup standpoint, it does seem like the Ducks have a little bit of the edge because Oregon State's secondary is very, very good. You take a look at Oregon State's secondary numbers and the personnel they have. They're allowing only a 57% completion percentage for only 220 yards per game in the Pac-12. Very, very impressive numbers. They were one of the few teams that was able to slow down a USC offense that is going to get you through the air. That being said, Oregon wants to run the football. I think they'll have a little bit of success against Oregon State running the football. And on the flip side, I just don't know if Oregon State has that personnel and firepower to take advantage of where Oregon is weak on the defensive side of the ball. So you're getting a short number with Oregon going on the road to Oregon State. I think I'm leaning Oregon to cover the 3 points. Some X factors in this game, I would say, is making Oregon State tackle on the perimeter. Oregon has a very, very capable and a very, very explosive group of playmakers, not only at the running back position. We mentioned Bucky Irving. We mentioned Noah Whittington. Those guys are dogs, and they're going to make you miss at the second level. But guys like Troy Franklin over the top, Chris Hudson, Chase Cota, they have some guys that you want to get out in space. You want to get the ball in their hands. and make people miss. And Oregon State and having the ability to tackle in space is going to be a massive story in this game. Oregon -3 is the lean. I'm a little concerned, and I'm not itching to bet. I probably will bet it because I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be a great game, and it's a fun one. That being said, I'm a little concerned about Oregon State, knowing Bo Nix is compromised with his legs. You didn't really realize how important Bo Nix was with his feet until he couldn't use his feet and couldn't use his mobility against Utah. And that Oregon offense looked very, very different. And you look at what they did. Bo Nix had to make it happen through the air, and he did. 25 of 37 for 287 yards and a touchdown. They weren't able to run the ball. Noah Whittington averaged 5 yards per carry. Bucky Irving only averaged 2 yards per carry. And Bo Nix, 2 carries for -3 yards. They really struggled to run the football. That is some shockingly low numbers from one of the best ground attacks in the country. But they were able to throw the ball a little bit. I don't know if they'll be able to throw the ball against Oregon State because this is one of the best secondaries in the country. They're going to have to run the ball, and you're hoping that they can run the football, even though Bo Nix probably can't do it on his own. Another thing is turnovers. Utah probably doesn't lose that game unless Cam Rising throws 3 interceptions. Oregon State takes care of the football very well. They don't turn the ball over very much because they don't throw the ball very much. Oregon, on the other hand, they've been very, very good limiting turnovers. The turnover story doesn't seem to be a huge part. I think it's going to be more which team is going to be able to move the football more consistently. I think Oregon will against Oregon State's weak-ish run game. That's why I'm leaning Oregon -3. But both these teams have been phenomenal against the spread. Oregon 8-3 against the spread. Oregon State 9-2 against the spread. Oregon got downgraded so much because of that loss to Georgia and then pretty much covered every single game since. Oregon State, on the other hand, they're just not a sexy team, but they keep winning. We've made money off them because people don't want to bet Oregon State because like, oh, they don't have a great quarterback. They kind of run the football. They play really good defense. But what they do works. I mean, they average over 400 yards of total offense per game and only give up 330 yards of offense per game. Two teams that are very, very solid. That's why you see a tight spread. I think I just trust Oregon a little bit more. Even with Bo Nix being hampered with his legs, I trust the quarterback play a little bit more, riding with Oregon -3. This is going to be a fun one. I'm very, very excited. So if you guys do like the content again, consider subscribing to the channel. We do appreciate y'all for real. And we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.